know, they say not only is Rosh Chodesh Nissan, not only is it Rosh Chodesh, but it is also Rosh Hashanah. I learned more Rosh Hashanah. It says in there it's a new year for months, obviously, and it's also the new year for Malachim, for kings. So, since it's the new year for kings, we're going to do King Solomon. This is my song about King Solomon. I better not step too close to the edge over there. But I like to sing in the first person. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to tell Solomon's story like I'm in his shoes. You know what I'm saying? So it goes like this. I'm King Solomon, David's son, and my wisdom was second to none. I loved Hashem with my heart and mind, and offered praise 1,000 times. In Jerusalem I reigned, spoke proverbs to all who came. I had almost everything. For 40 years I was the king. I was anointed by decree. My father passed his throne to me. The kingdom came into my hands, and there was peace throughout the land. One night while sleeping in my bed, I dreamt God came to me and said, what do you wish to achieve? Ask me and you shall receive. He said, you've been so kind to me and made me my own queen. Thank you, Lord, for what you did, but I still feel like a little kid. So much to do, where do I start? Please give me a wise and discerning heart. Then for your people I will tell right from wrong and govern well. Hashem was pleased, and so he said, you ask for my wisdom instead of seeking something for yourself like longer life and lots of wealth. So I'll give wisdom to you with great riches and glory too. And if you walk in all my ways, you shall live for many days. I woke and I could understand more than every grain of sand. Far wiser than every man, my fame spread throughout the land. 3,000 proverbs along with over 1,000 songs. I spoke of every tree and plant, bird and beast and fish and ant. I'm King Solomon, David's son, and my wisdom was second to none. I loved Hashem with my heart and mind, and offered praise 1,000 times. In Jerusalem I reigned, spoke proverbs to all who came. I had almost everything. For 40 years I was the king. Before my court, 2 women came. Each of them had a different claim. One of the women said to me, I just gave birth, and so did she, in the same house. There was no one but me and her and our 2 sons. Now, in the night, her son died. So she took my son from my side and put her dead son next to me. And in the morning, I could say the child was dead, but I am sure he is not the child I bore. No, the second woman said, my son lives and your son's dead. No, the first woman replied, my son lives and your son died. I spoke to them, you both have said my son lives and your son's dead, so let's just cut the child in 2 and give 1/2 to each of you. Now the woman whose son was alive, she had compassion, and she cried, I can't bear to see him dead, just give the child to her instead. But the other said, not me, oh, you will have the child, cut him in 2. So I immediately knew between the women who was who. All of Israel was in awe. They saw how I laid down the law. Everyone who heard could see that God's wisdom was with me. I'm King Solomon, David's son, and my wisdom was second to none. I loved Hashem with my heart and mind, and offered praise 1,000 times. In Jerusalem I reigned, spoke proverbs to all who came. I had almost everything. For 40 years I was the king. For me God always did provide the land with peace on every side. Free from war I dropped my sword and built the temple for the Lord. I sent 10,000 men by sea to Lebanon for some cedar trees, and I put my slaves to work for God. It took them all to do the job. Each block of rock was recarved before it reached the temple's yards. 80,000 cut the stones and 70,000 hauled home with work from many hands and feet. Hashem's temple was complete, 90 feet from wall to wall, 30 wide and 45 tall. And from the ceiling to the floor I paneled it with cedar boards, and the most holy place to hold the ark I overlaid in gold. In 7 years it was complete. Then I offered God a feast, 22,000 people out to the yard instead. And all of Israel came through, from Syria down to Egypt too. Before Hashem, the people prayed and partied hard for 14 days. I'm King Solomon, David's son. My wisdom was second to none. I love Hashem with my heart and mind, and offered praise 1,000 times. In Jerusalem I reigned and spoke proverbs to all who came. I had almost everything, but 40 years I was the king. My throne was something to behold, of ivory and the finest gold. A dozen lions stood to me, all who stepped up to my feet, and I commanded combat forces, over 12,000 horses, 1,400 chariots, all sorts of military stuff. A navy was built for me. They sailed upon the Red Sea, returning with all they could hold, 30,000 pounds of gold. And every king of earth who heard about my wisdom sought my word. People came from far and near and brought me gifts year after year. Kings came from all around. I needed 20,000 pounds of flour just to make the bread. Every day to keep the fed was like all they could eat buffet. I slaughtered 30 cows a day, 100 sheep from my herds, on top of deer, gazelle and birds. I had a palace in the woods of Lebanon. I had it good. Every cup that I owned was gold, like everything in my household. Silver I just threw away, cause it was worthless in my day. When I sat upon my throne, silver sat around like stone. I'm King Solomon, David's son. My wisdom was second to none. I love Hashem with my heart and mind, and offer praise 1,000 times. In Jerusalem I reigned and spoke proverbs to all who came. I had almost everything, for 40 years I was the king. The queen of Sheba heard the fame I had attained in God's name. But this woman was not the type to just believe in all the hype. She tried to stump me when she came, but all she asked I could explain. And after I passed her test, then I received her very best. Precious stones and gold was nice, but more exquisite was her spice. I gave her all for which she yearned, and to her homeland she returned. The Pharaoh's daughter was my wife, one of many in my life. I married 700 times and had 300 concubines, but my wives led me astray. From Hashem I turned away, built altars so they could pray to foreign gods, but I would pay. Away from God my heart had turned, the anger of Hashem burned. He said, because of what you done, I'll tear the kingdom from your son. Then God raised up all my foes, all my enemies arose, from Syria down to Edom. Even the servant from my home rebelled. I knew he was the one who would tear the kingdom from my son. I tried to kill him, but he fled and hid from me till I